we have representing the head of service, Mr. Clement Uwaifo. Please, a round of applause. Let's appreciate him here today. And for the Institute, we'd like to acknowledge here with us all of the distinguished corps, very, very distinguished and eminent corps of past presidents, His Royal Highness Eze Professor G.O. Nwankwo, OON-FCIB. We have with us Mr. J.O. Ekudaios, FCIB. Professor Wale Adeomi, FCIB. Mrs. Juliet Maduboise, OON-FCIB. We'd also like to acknowledge our very distinguished cluster of past registrars, chief executives, Mr. A.A. Adenubi, FCIB, Chief S.O. Data, FCIB, Mr. Esson Ubuleye, FCIB, distinguished conference delegates, along with your very distinguished presence here, we acknowledge everyone as representing the sector of financial enterprise and institutional exchange, all branch representatives of CIBN, all of the sectoral association representatives. I'd like to acknowledge at this point our Secretary of the Governing Council, Dr. Uju N. Ogubunka, FCIB. Thank you very much. And our Registrar Chief Executive. Please, let's put our hands together and very robustly appreciate him. He has been transacting all of the spaces, making sure that there is an interlock, and of course, the efficiency of this enterprise, particularly this 2013 conference, is very properly navigated. And today, once again, we celebrate him and we celebrate the institution. Without further ado, yes, let's put our hands together and really celebrate and appreciate. It's not just a service, it is an industry, and it's not just a sector, it's a transformational pathway. Yes, the Institute of Chartered Bankers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Right now we welcome for his welcome address, Mr. Shegun Aino, OFR, FCIB, and President, Chairman of Council. Well, let's make him feel really welcome.
Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. As we commence the program for the 7th Annual Banking and Finance Conference of the Chartered of Bankers of Nigeria, I want to warmly welcome all of you to the opening ceremony, and indeed to welcome all participants to this two-day conference. But in a very special way, I want to welcome and thank the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan GCFR, for accepting to be the speaker guest of honor at this event. Even though he had accepted the invitation, he had declared that he would not be able to be here in person, and has delegated that assignment to the coordinating minister for the economy, and that's the minister for finance, who, as at 5 minutes ago, has still declared that she will be joining us because she's chairing the EFC Economic Banking team meeting, and she should be here with us any moment from now. I will acknowledge the support of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Governor Alhaji Lamido Sanusi, who will be delivering the keynote address at this event. Alhaji Lamido Sanusi has been a very strong supporter of the Institute and has believed in ensuring that this will continue to grow from strength to strength. But he has another engagement, and we have with us representing him, Alhaji Suleiman Barau, fellow of the Institute, and we are very happy to have you, Alhaji Suleiman Barau. So thank you very much for coming. So you, highly distinguished personalities here, and I want to especially recognize our father, our brother, our banking icon. You know of people, because Dr. Obadulego has traversed the business world for many years. A lot of people forget that he is actually a banker, that he started his life as a banker, and he became a banking executive before he moved to the business world. So I want to really recognize you, sir, Dr. Obadulego. And we're always very proud of you and the accomplishment that you have recorded. And I want to, on behalf of this also, say many happy returns of the day to you. I know you are 70, August 18, and you ran away from everybody. You ran away from everybody. You are trying to do some things, but we still come to see you people officially. The council have decided to come and present something to you to mark your advantage. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. Now, coming back home, I would like to give due recognition to the Institute's first Vice President, Otumba Mrs. Debola Oshibogun FCIB, the second Vice President, Dr. Sheikh Adimola Ajibola FCIB, the National Treasurer, Dr. Ushe Olowu FCIB, and the Governing Council members who are here today, and all of whom have continued to make significant contributions to the government of the Institute. And of course, we value the services, the commitment, and the presence in our midst today. The past president of the Institute, they've been supporting, they've been pillar support for us, and we're happy to have 4 of them here today. Is Professor Green Nwambo, thank you very much, sir, for coming. Mr. Femi Ekudayo, thank you very much for being here. Professor Oluwole Adewumi, thank you. And last, but definitely not the least, the one and only lady president so far, Mrs. Juliet Madubese. Thank you very much for being here. Our fellows, associates, honorary members, managing directors of banks, and I think we have a number of them here, starting from Mr. Godwin Emefiele, the managing director of Zenith Bank, who is also the chairman of the planning committee for this event. Thank you very much for your services and for being here. Dr. Alex Oti, the group managing director of Diamond Bank, Dr. Alex Oti, FCIB, to welcome. And Omar Aviz, the managing director of Citibank, thank you very much for being here. Even though I know Andrew Zamba, I know introducing that because he's participating in the world session. Thank you very much, Mr. Andrew Ali, the managing director of African Finance Corporation. And of course, very important to us, the Banking Industry and Institute is the managing director of the NDIC. We have invited him to come and sit on the top table, but it's very open person saying, no, let me just sit where I am. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. Our other members of the Institute, gentlemen of the press, acknowledge your presence. Ladies and gentlemen, this conference has come a long way. Its history can be traced to 1982, when it started as a delegates conference, hosted in turns by branches and focusing more at promoting understanding and interaction among branches of the institute. The name was changed to Bankers Conference in 1994, when the horizon was broadened to include deliberations on issues beyond branch concerns. It was renamed the Banking and Finance Conference in 2007, during which time it was designated as an annual event to be held in Abuja. The scope of participation was enlarged to cover the entire spectrum of the financial services industry, and also to make it a general learning platform for members and other stakeholders. The conference currently aims at generating solution-focused ideas and expanding the knowledge of participants around key topical and contemporary issues. The previous 6 editions have provided a stimulating forum for discussion on a wide range of issues facing the banking and finance industry in particular and the economy at large. It has played important and significant roles in articulating ideas that have contributed to the determining efforts of the monetary and fiscal authorities to ensure a robust and integrated financial sector and economy, and at the end, communicates our issues and circulated to all stakeholders. This seventh in the series of the conference, designated as the 58th anniversary edition, will not be an exception. As you all very know, our institute celebrating 50th anniversary this year, having been founded in 1963. So all our major events for this year are designated 50th anniversary edition. It is delightful to observe that a number of major policy the recommendations in our previous conferences have been or are being implemented by relevant authorities. For instance, in 2007, the conference recommended the establishment of a credit bureau that will significantly help in the credit risk management function, and we are glad to note that credit bureaus are now in existence in Nigeria today. We also advocated in the same year for banks to collaborate among themselves for efficiency of resource allocation, and today there are shared services initiatives that banks have established which have reduced their operating costs and improved their efficiency. In 2008, the conference recommended that key ministers appointed to head key federal ministries should be assigned specific and measurable deliverables. And that has happened. In that same year, the conference canvassed the establishment of Sovereign Infrastructure Fund, and today the Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Fund is in place and functioning. In the year 2009 and 2010, the conference recommended the fast tracking of the proposal for the development of a competency framework. And you are all aware that in November 2012, the Central Bank released the guidelines for the implementation of the competency framework for the Nigerian banking industry, with the institute as the sole accreditation and certification agency. However, there are other key recommendations for which we are expecting positive outcomes. These include issues related to the diversification of the economy away from oil, given the uncertainties of the oil and gas sector globally. This has become imperative, especially with the threat posed by the quest for alternative energy sources and the discovery of shale oil and gas. Also, the issue of the unique and coordinated national education program is yet to be completed, while provision of adequate infrastructure still remains a major challenge. These are some of the recommendations that we made in previous years, and we are hoping that government will fast-track efforts in ensuring that this happens. It is therefore appropriate that as we celebrate this 50th anniversary of our institute, we should focus on the very foundational mandate and objective of our revered profession. This is the reason why we are choosing as the theme of this year's conference the subject of professionalism in the financial service industry supporting the economy. Indeed, this is the right time to take another critical look at professionalism, which is the core mandate of our institute, and dedicate ourselves to our primary responsibility as bankers and financial services providers. Banks, bankers, and the Institute of Bankers, Charity of Bankers of Nigeria, have indeed been supporting the economy, and will do more, especially through the financial examination route. Banks' support for the real sector of the economy is very critical and necessary. However, the public expectation for the banking system to fully support the real sector, which in most cases requires long-term funding and lower or what we call single-digit interest rates, may not be met by the banks alone, in view of the current tenure structure of their deposit liabilities and high total cost of funds. While our banks are expected to be creative in this respect and leverage on their relationships with suppliers of long-term funds within and outside Nigeria, on suppliers of long-term funds within and outside Nigeria, there is the need for government to accelerate the various mechanisms for providing special intervention funds and other incentives that will reduce funding costs and provide long-term financing to the rich sector, especially agriculture and manufacturing sector. The Institute will continue to be a partner in progress in all the initiatives aimed at deepening banking knowledge and improving delivery of top-class financial services to the Nigerian populace, as well as ensure consumer protection. In this respect, CIBN is committed to producing and attracting world-class banking talent, which is one of the deliverables under the Financial Sector Strategy (FSS) 2020, coordinated by the Central Bank of Nigeria. We appreciate the support of the National Assembly, in particular the relevant committees of the National Assembly, for giving due attention to relevant banking bills, especially those related to the FSS 2020 initiatives. For example, one of the bills relates to the creation of the Office of the Financial Ombudsman. The Central Institute of Bank of Nigeria has coordinated and acted as the Secretariat for the Ethics and Professionalism Subcommittee of the Bankers Committee, playing the role of ombudsman for the banking industry, an assignment we have performed creditably. To ensure that the Office of the Financial Ombudsman, when created to the appropriate act, takes off speedily, the Central Institute of Bank of Nigeria is willing to make available the expertise and structure already established and functioning for that purpose. I hope the Central Bank will contribute to that. It is my firm belief that this conference will provide a unique opportunity for players in the financial services industry to explore, share experiences, and identify strategies to be pursued in ensuring that the financial services industry effectively plays its expected role in supporting economic development. This will be the center of our deliberation for the next 2 days, and I accordingly enjoin everyone to participate fully in the various sessions and come up with recommendations and ideas that will grow the Nigerian economy in a sustainable manner and in the right direction. I have no doubt that this will be achieved as we are lined up as resource persons, session chairmen, guest speakers, and panelists who are accomplished men and women, everyday scholars, and acknowledged subject matter experts in their various fields. We have very high expectations from this conference, and I have no doubt that it will be a time valuable spent for all of us. In the usual tradition, I assure you that the communique that will emerge at the end of the conference will be widely publicized and presented to all stakeholders for consideration, adoption, and implementation. My very distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you once again and wish you all very fruitful celebration at this conference. Thank you very much for your attention.
And thank you very much, Mr. Shebuai OFR FCIB, President, Chairman of Council, for those words profiling this conference and also giving us a substantive insight into the outlook. It's a foundational mandate and objective, deepening financial knowledge. And talking about the expectations being high, there's a popular prayer that our expectations will not be cut off. In a time of power transformational sectors, the language also says that we will be able to transmit and generate this expectation to a place of active agenda. So be it, and do I hear an amen? All right, the eyes have it. Thank you very much. At this point, we'd now like to, once again, let's put our hands together and appreciate very much Mr. President's profile. I'd like to acknowledge with us the representative of the President of CITN, Dr. Mrs. Teju Shumori, Vice President. Please, let's put our hands together. I don't know where she is, Mrs. Shumori. Also here today, we have the President of ANAM, represented by S.U. Ladan and Mrs. Rukaya Yusuf. Please, let's put our hands together for them. Today as well, we'd like to acknowledge Director of Banking Supervision, CBN, Mr. Fakunle. A round of applause for him. Of course, we have with us, and we acknowledge again, Mr. Umar Hafiz, the Citibank Managing Director. Along with him as well, I'd like to acknowledge our distinguished MD, Diamond Bank. Please put your hands together again. For also Chairman of your bank and CEO, Mr. Alex Ote, FCIB, and our MD, CEO, African Finance Corporation, Mr. Andrew Ali. Please a round of applause for all of our very distinguished recognitions. Oh, we have with us right now let's welcome the Honorable Minister of State for Finance, Dr. Yerima Ngama. Please let us welcome him. And I also see here that he is representing our special guest of honor, unless otherwise indicated, our special guest of honor being Mr. President. So I think we're in the wrong position welcoming him into the room. Please let's welcome the special guest of honor here represented by the Honorable Minister of State for Finance, Dr. Yerima Ngama. Thank you very much. You're very welcome, sir. And now for the keynote, I'd like to invite Alhaji Suleiman Barrow, OONFCIB, representing the Governor, Central Bank of Nigeria. A round of applause as we receive it.
The President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, they are represented by the Honorable Minister of State Finance, Dr. Yerima Ngama, the President, CIBN, and other current officials of CIBN, past presidents of CIBN, including those of them that were board members of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Professor Nwanko, and Chief Mrs. Juliet Madubweze, my leader, Kabesi Oba Oteliko, the MD, NDIC, he has decided not to sit at the high table, and he's sitting indeed on the second row together with his officials and the past executive director, Prof. Duly recognized, managing directors of banks. I noticed that somebody was introduced from CBN, Banking Supervision, but the director of banking supervision is here. Let me recognize her as well. Last week when the governor was attending at the signing ceremony of Dangote facility, he said that outside bankers committee, the only person who is able to gather bank MDs is Anika Dangote at one place. But let me add that the director of banking supervision is also able to call bank MDs. The registrar of CIBN, past and present, fellows and members of CIBN, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. When I was introduced here this morning, I was called Suleiman Barrow and FCIB. I'm happy that that was remembered also, because the FCIB is also very important to me. But what is even additionally important is that I'm also the chairman of the fundraising committee. The 50th, that was not mentioned. And I'm sure Alex will be happy that we as members are happy. And today I was discussing with Otumba. She was talking about fundraising issues, not about representing the governor. Let me send the apologies of the governor of the Central Bank. Indeed, we are very happy to associate ourselves with the activities of CIBN at all times. Unfortunately, the governor is not able to be present personally. He sends his best wishes to the president and the council and members, and to you all. He congratulates CIBN for organizing this event, and has given me a long speech to read, which I'm going to read as a youthful staff. So bear with me. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to be in your midst this morning to present the keynote address at this very important conference for eminent bankers, financial experts, policy makers, and the business community on the theme of building professionalism in the financial services industry, supporting the economy. This conference provides a unique opportunity for us as regulators and supervisors, chief executives and operators of banks and experts in financial services industry to share our views on best practices, which, if properly entrenched, will ensure that the industry plays its catalytic role in the development of Nigeria's economy. I therefore commend the organizers of this event for thinking along this line. This theme is not only apt, but very timely, considering the importance of a strong financial services sector for economic growth and economic prosperity. As we know, the financial services industry remains the critical sector of the economy. The critical roles of the industry in the transmission of economic policies and the provision of the hub and lubricant to the wheels of the economy, including providing funding for economic agents, make a very compelling argument for it to be adequately managed. Also, financial institutions, particularly the banks, are generally highly leveraged, which makes them vulnerable to booms and bust cycles. Indeed, a robust and stable financial services industry is an absolute necessity for a functioning economy. I would like to highlight some of the efforts that regulators in the financial industry have undertaken to entrench good corporate governance. A major concern for regulators and supervisors of the financial services industry today is ensuring accountability by all concerned, given the separation of ownership from control, which implies a loss of effective control by shareholders over managerial decisions. The issue of good governance is therefore important as an imperative for ensuring successful corporate performance. Building good corporate governance is a shared responsibility among all stakeholders, each of whom may exert pressure to move an institution in slightly different and conflicting directions. Prior to the recent reforms in the financial services industry, the following legislations and institutions, among others, influence operations of corporate enterprises. First is CAMA, the Companies and Allied Matters Act 1990, Investment and Securities Act 1999, and earlier legislations, including BOFIA, Bank and Other Financial Institutions Act 1991, as subsequently amended, and indeed an institution like the Nigerian Stock Exchange, including its listing requirements. In addition, the Central Bank of Nigeria has recognized the importance of good corporate governance in the banking industry. Following the conclusion of the banking consolidation program in 2005, the Code of Corporate Governance for banks in Nigeria was issued to the banking sector, and it became effective in April 2006. The Code of Conduct was designed to enhance good corporate governance practices within the industry in view of the observed weak practices at the time. To address these challenges, the CBN has since commenced a review of the Code of Conduct guidelines to provide clear guidelines on all aspects of governance and enhance corporate governance practices in banks and discount houses. These include, some of the provisions include that the governor and the deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria and the managing director, CEO of NDIC and his executive directors shall not be eligible for appointment in any capacity after they leave the banks until after 5 years of their exit. In the case of departmental directors of CBN and NDIC, they shall not be eligible for employment in any institutions in the financial system until after the expiration of 3 years, as the case may be. Despite these efforts, there are still instances of formidable challenges in the practice of good corporate governance in the Nigeria's financial services industry today. There is lack of capacity on the part of board members to establish strategic direction, operational standards, and the dearth of risk management personnel, lack of benchmark for risk tolerances and monitoring systems. Other challenges include lack of proper coordination, uniformity in standards of best practices, and enforcement of various laws and regulations within the financial services industry. Let me state here that investments in capacity building for the empowerment of board members for general effective oversight and enhancement of institutional infrastructure will be necessary for the industry. In addition, a well-designed monitoring system will allow the board to hold management accountable for operating within established tolerances. Regulators and supervisors on their own part must rise to the high level of expertise and understanding of emerging market instruments and practices to develop models, assumptions, and risk views of financial institutions and certify the risk management of the institution, while cooperation and coordination among the regulators should be strengthened going forward. It is important to state that in a perfect world, directors of the company serve as a check on the exercise of management. But where the directors themselves collude and are involved, it becomes difficult to protect other stakeholders' interests. Therefore, fundamental skill sets and experience at the level of independent directors will go a long way in enhancing the capacity of the boards. Effective risk management, effective risk governance also demands that each director is aware of the breadth of risks faced by the bank. Directors add value to the board only when they have the financial expertise and are aware of the risk fundamentals and techniques available to them, and are also aware of the management dynamics. As a regulator and supervisor of the financial services industry, the Central Bank of Nigeria often comes across some harmful practices embarked on by the top management, and sometimes with the active collusion of board members, which are detrimental to the interests of the other stakeholders in these institutions. These include large-scale insider loans to management staff, directors, major shareholders, and their relations, and companies that are and these loans eventually become non-performing. While the Central Bank continues to pursue ethical practices in the financial services industry, operators must also live up to their responsibility and protect the interests of all stakeholders. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me state clearly that regulators and supervisors in the financial services industry cannot alone guarantee an end to the financial stability that comes from good corporate governance practices. The board must satisfy itself that the implementation, the integrity, and the maintenance of effective risk management systems are not compromised in the institutions that they supervise. Management must keep directors adequately informed about risk-taking activities and must ensure that strategic direction and risk tolerances are effectively communicated and adhered to throughout the length and breadth of the organization. The quality of supporting human resources and organizational orientation and backup should also be addressed by the institutions. Before concluding this remark, let me reiterate that when investors invest, the expectation is that companies will be run according to sound business principles that minimize the possibilities for corrupt practices and mismanagement. This expectation is legitimate and must be protected. Similarly, when creditors, particularly the depositors, decide to part with their savings, they have expectations that they are entrusting their funds to a trusted and honest management, and therefore expect the safety of and good returns on their funds. When this is undermined, then the public confidence in the financial services industry is eroded, and the economy becomes the loser and the worse for it. This is a practice that the central bank and other regulators indeed will not accept. With this effect, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite you to a productive debate in which your input will be important in coming up with invaluable contribution that will help to ensure high ethical standards and professionalism in the financial service industry for the safety and soundness of the financial system, and at the same time guarantee stable macroeconomic environment for Nigeria as we move towards 2020. Once again, I urge you to make use of this opportunity. We congratulate the CIBN for organizing this event, and we hope that you will all contribute in making sure that the deliberations that come out of this event are useful and are implementable, and we look forward to receiving them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause for Alhaji Suleiman Barau, OON, FCIB. Yes, indeed, the regulator is not a predator. He is a stakeholder. And this is a transformational enterprise, and one that takes everyone working and building corporate governance from a place of shared responsibility. Thank you very much, sir. And I'd like to make a very critical correction, please. The Director of Banking Supervision for CBN, and this is an affirmative correction, is Madame Agnes Martins. Please, we'd like to properly acknowledge her. Thank you. Thank you. So that's an affirmative correction, and we are moving in an affirmative direction. So having affirmed the fact that I'm a sister to another sister in the place of transactional space, I would now like to invite someone who's already been introduced as His Royal Highness Yoruba Olusi Kiade. That the crown may remain long on the head and that those royal feet will always be properly shod. Please help me welcome Dr. Oba Otudeko for a few minutes.
The President of the Institute, my brother, Otunba Segun Mainu, the Honorable Minister, again another brother. He can look that big, he's a younger brother. Also, the governor, here represented the handsome, light-skinned one. You know, you get infected by the environment in which you operate. So when he called me his leader, then I thought he's getting political. You know, because politicians, when they want to outdo one another, they call themselves leader. But so the following day, you may discover that the leader has been consumed. And of course, the young have grown, so Godwin is no longer a young man. He's recognized as chairman of the coordinating committee. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I got the invitation to come and be part of the annual event, and I felt actually very grateful to the council. They have always invited me in the days that we've been there together. And I was speaking to one of you, and I remembered that I actually started as a banker 53 years ago. And the person I was talking to said to me that I shouldn't mention such figures. I said, why? He said he was overwhelmed because he wasn't around at that time. I said, if you were around, the world would have been much bigger. But I can assure you that being at this event is, to me, a very, very fulfilling experience. Fulfilling because, once again, one has been reminded of the grace of God upon one's life. To have been part of this privileged group. Ladies and gentlemen, To be at the nexus of the financial system is indeed a very heavy responsibility. Heavy responsibility in the sense that you are called upon to look after that particular nexus of the entire socio-political and economic system that is so important even for the health of the citizenship. Financial services is talking about principally money, and you know that money is so sacrosanct for the smooth running and the sound existence of societies. I can only use this opportunity to remind you that if you are entrusted with such a sacred assignment, the least you can do is to ensure that you uphold the principles upon which the profession has been built over the years: integrity, and honesty. Society will evolve because the development of society is actually anchored on continuous change. One thing that will be constant is that as we change, as the dynamism of society changes, there is the center of everything, the value system upon which we all operate. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, whatever may be the fortune of society, the meltdown of economies as they may emerge, I want to remind you, as guardian of the sacred anchor, the heart of the society, protector of money and people who actually handle money, that you should please continue to commit yourself to the essence of integrity, the essence of your profession. Bankers, in the time that we joined, are supposed to be very, very conservative individuals. Conservatism means, therefore, that it's not just by pretense, it is also by embracing the simple values of life. I don't believe that bankers, if they are true bankers, should be inordinately ambitious. You should be contented and satisfied with those things that are your legitimate earnings. I want to encourage you that it is in modesty, it is in simplicity, it is in contentment that you can continue to earn the honor that is deserved by your profession. I speak today about ethics. I speak today about integrity. I speak today about honor. These are the basic values upon which you can all thrive and indeed continue to be custodians of money and financial services. Thank you for letting me be part of this. When you are in a conference like this, which is annual, it's an opportunity to network, it's an opportunity to exchange notes, it's an opportunity to also consolidate the relationship that you have built. I will urge you therefore to enjoy yourselves and to continue to be actually beacons of hope that we are all looking up to. I assure you that I'm satisfied and encouraged by what I'm seeing, and as I'm growing younger and younger, I can assure you that we'll be together for years and years, and Nigeria will be a stronger place, a place that is going to thrive and continue to excel as a very, very successful and sound economy and a lovely society. Thank you very much.
just thank you, but I say amen. He started on a note as an icon, but he ended not just as an elder statesman, but as a prophet. And to everything you have said, sir, amen. At 53 years, that number is not just gold, it is prime gold. And he has made reference to the fact that he's part of a privileged group, one at the nexus of the financial system, and it connotes a heavy responsibility, a sacred assignment of trust, upholding integrity, and honesty. Thank you very much, sir. Please let's put our hands together and appreciate you. I'd like to, at this point, just before going forward, just interject very quickly, please permit me, sir, with the peculiar experience I had. Last week I was in this room, and like I said, I was privileged to be the MC of the Economic Summit. Being in such a position also affords you a certain privilege of making certain critical introductions. So there's someone I introduced to someone else who's an international CEO, and this person is a CEO within the agricultural enterprise in Nigeria. This was CC'd to me. And it is on the basis of what you have said, sir, and going forward, I want to challenge all of us with this. It's very brief. It was great to meet you at the NAS conference last week. You certainly came across as a very competent and visionary man with an outlook on business and the industry consistent with that of our company. Indeed, your company brochure confirms this, going beyond the product with quality supporting services. But it seems your reputation precedes you, but from the wrong perspective, unfortunately. I have had constant bad feedback from a number of people who have spoken to independently, and all say the talk is good, but the way you do business is not. Many mention outstanding payments and untrustworthy business dealings. Now, I also appreciate that there are two sides to every story, but trust in a business relationship takes time to develop. You would need to prove these things are not true before we consider going forward. Distinguished conference delegates, this was an introduction that I believe in several respects was a very significant one for this particular enterprise. I was just privileged to be a bridge. This is the feedback. What our daddy has said, an elder statesman, is critical for the brand that we represent. In your enterprise and in mine, may we truly uphold that standard that today we fly. The professionalism is your ethical integrity in the place of supporting this particular entity and institutional enterprise. May it be so. Another round of applause. Thank you very much, sir. Having underscored what is principal, I would now like at this point to invite for his remarks, not just as a special guest of honor, but one who represents the custodian of all transformational enterprise for the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Mr. President, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCFR, here today represented by the Honorable Minister of State for Finance, Dr. Yerima Ngema. Round of applause as you welcome him.
President, Chartered Institute of Bankers, Nigeria, Mr. Sheldon Aina, representative of the Governor of Central Bank, and also Deputy Governor of Corporate Services, Elias Simon Barrow. I think I have to correct Oba Ajeloko. I'm not his brother. Because when he started his career as a banker, I was not born. Well, I'm happy to be among tribesmen. Because when you are among bankers, you are among my tribesmen. And there is something I have in my office. All the people I admire, I have a photograph of them and I displayed in my office. So for those who visited me, they will know who are my role models. Actually, it is not in any order, but I don't know. Anybody who wants to analyze the order, he can do it, but I will start from left to right. It's a portrait of myself and the British Prime Minister. And the next one is a portrait of myself and Bill Gates. The next one is myself and Aliko Dangote. Then the next one is a group photograph. You know, we invited some students to join us, but the main photograph is myself with the president of Islamic Development Bank. And the next one is myself with Mr. Pascal Dozie. And then last but no longer the least is myself and Obatelo. And whoever visits my office, I always, at least show off. That these are the people I always admire, and they have made life easy for me because I don't have to go and read. All I see is to look at them and copy them. Well, I'm going to talk to you about the contribution of the banking sector to agriculture and mineral sector development. This is very, very important because Nigeria initially is a country that depends on these two sectors. And many countries in the world today depend on these two sectors. And they are proud because they believe that these two sectors are very easy to use to grow the entire economy, because either integrating upward is always natural. You process and then you go, and the technology is not as complicated as depending on the oil sector. Today in the oil sector, we even have few exploration companies, few drilling companies. I think it's only First Bank that managed to have the first 3 rigs owned by Nigerians. Everything is external. So the bulk of the money leaves Nigeria. It never even comes to Nigeria, because even the bankers are foreign bankers. But when you look at agri and mining, the entire cash flow will go within the country. So it has a bigger multiplier effect to our economy than the oil sector, which is entirely external to us. So this conference is a very good forum so that we can discuss these issues as practitioners, as academicians, and as policy makers. Because unless we discuss and implement whatever we agreed to do, we will be going in cycles. We will be thrown to external shocks, because the oil sector has brought nothing to this country but shocks. Every time we depend on even some new shocks that we never even thought they can be shocks. Things like oil bunkering and oil theft. These are shocks. But when they happen, they shut down the entire system. I think most of the figures you see, they don't even represent the theft. They say 400,000 barrels per day. That does not represent what is being stolen in this country. What is stolen is between 60 to 80,000 barrels per day. But once they start stealing your pipeline, oil from your pipeline, do you allow them to continue? No, you shut it down. And when you shut down, the entire production stops. So that is also lost. So when you see the entire, what is lost, it's lost mainly because of the shutdown. and not because of the theft. The theft is little, but even that theft, since it is bringing another shutdown, it becomes a problem. But I don't know, I've never heard of agricultural output theft or cement theft. You know, these are, you know, peculiarities. You know, so they actually lend themselves as better alternatives. Because these shops, I don't know how agriculture was, but the only shop we have in agriculture is spoiler bats and bad weather. You know, but at least you know that these are natural, and there is nothing or very little you can do. It's not as annoying as what is happening in the oil sector. So developing these sectors is necessary, and the financial sector is believed to be the key to the development. This is a theoretical issue. Many people believe that banks should provide finance, take it from savers and give it to those who have investments, profitable ones, and they have to do it efficiently and the economy will grow. Some people say, no, let the economy grow, let us have the money and let us place it in the bank and then the cycle will start. So I know that the cycle has to start. It's a chicken and egg kind of thing. The real sector started first, before the money is saved. But immediately the money is saved, the financial sector will now take over their power of creating money. So it is not the original money that the real sector created that the banks are able to lend. Because through the intermediation, they can create multiple facilities available with limited resources. So it means that the financial sector can develop the real sector far faster than the real sector can develop the financial sector. And that's why government is worried when the financial sector is not supporting the real sector the way it should. And I know bankers are used to taking the blame that they are not supporting agriculture, that they are not supporting mineral development. And they also have their own excuses. But thank God we have the headmaster of the banking system, the Central Bank of Nigeria. They always come with their intervention. But whenever they intervene, they are indicting the banking sector. So please, at the end of the day, we have to see how effective is this intervention. And when will the banking sector take the challenge to say, Central Bank, yours is just to regulate, let us lend. And this is something which all of us have believed is like an aberration to find Central Bank lending.